Uh, Assalamu alaikum to all the listeners out there. This is Shazad, your host for JK TV on live, and we are here on this tremendous stage for interviewing Daalat Saab, who's the Labour candidate for Rochdale. Daalat Saab, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum Salam.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Daalat Saab, you are the candidate for Labour standing here in Rochdale. Before we go into the interview, could you kindly tell us something about yourself, please?
Yes, I am standing in central Rochdale. My name is Daalat Ali, and about my life, I was born in Raidani, which is a small village between Meeper and Courtley. I came to England in 1970. I was a young man then. And then since then I've worked in various fields, including factories, textile mills, and then I kept going on into colleges and got educated, and then in the 80s I got into public sector. I worked for Rochdale Council, I worked for Oldham Council, and for the last 13 years I've been working for Leeds Council.
And in these councils you worked at, Mr. Daalat Saab, what have you been doing in those councils? What is your role play in those councils?
Well, I worked in various capacities. I worked as an information officer, I worked as a welfare rights officer, but what I pride on is my voluntary work. My voluntary work with Kashmir Youth Project, my voluntary work in various charities, and my voluntary work with the community itself, direct work. I grew up in 36 South Street, and in those days there were very few people from our part who could speak English, and there used to be Master Karimdad, Khadavni Bakhshia, Master Karimdad. He used to go in tax office every day, and the tax office used to be near Bath's traffic lights, bottom of John Street. And I used to work, and along with the Raja Zafar and one or two other friends, Shabir, and Master Karimdad used to take us there, and we used to go there, and people used to go in, and they used to call it proof and tax, and we used to interpret. And my voluntary work with the community started back in 70s, and it had carried on. And then now I have worked in public service for over 25 years. And then I am coming to a stage where I am retiring. All my children are grown up. My oldest son is a barrister, my daughter is a consultant, employment consultant, the other one is doing medical rep course, and they're all over 19, 20. And I've come to a stage where I feel that this society and this country has given me a lot, and I should give something back to my society. And my work in relation to my writing and in relation to my dramas, films, and other activities has kept me very close to my community, my elders, my original country, and then I feel that there is a lot of work which needs doing. When I see, say for example, I used to work and then still go to college and educate myself. I've worked all my life, and all my life I've been going to universities, colleges to learn more. When I see our children who have an opportunity to achieve anything they want, and then they come out with no GCSEs, no education, and what have you, it really hurts me, and it makes me think that our parents who are achievers, for example, my father came here in 60s, like many other my father's uncles in his generation, they've achieved everything they set out to achieve. They couldn't speak English, they worked very hard, night shift, hard conditions, they built houses back home, they built houses here, they've brought their families here, they supported extended families and what have you. When I see kids on streets of Waddleworth just doing nothing, and if you ask them, we're chilling out, we're hanging out, hanging from what? There are no trees over there, just hanging out. And then it really, I feel that I need to transfer my experience onto them and use my experience to change You can't change everybody's life, but whoever you can reach, try to change their lives towards better.
Okay, Dalit Saab, I've got a fantastic researcher producer who's actually nagging into my ear, Mr. Dalit Saab. We have done a bit of research, and you played a very vital role in Rashtriya itself. You were, as far as our researchers are telling me, you was a director for KYP, which is one of the biggest establishment in Rashtriya itself. Can you tell us something about that, please?
Well, it was set up by a few young men, and one of the few young men was Dr. Noor Hussain, who I believe lives in Sheffield now, and Shabir, and Parvez, who's an aeronautical consultant, Arshad, and Shabir, who's a very successful businessman, and Wazir Shah, who was ex-councillor. He played a very prominent role in it. Kurban, who is a councillor in Luton, they've gone away. But I stayed in Rochdale, and I was part of that team which Master Kareem Dadi used to nurture us for community work and what have you. I have been with KYP all my life, but unfortunately recently I've had to resign through Liberal Democrats' direct intervention into, because I am standing against a Liberal Democrat councillor. And it really hurt me. It really did, because it's very close to me, and it has served Rochdale's community. And although it is called Kashmir Youth Project, but if you go there, it's a symbol of community cohesion. If you see the workforce, it's absolutely, like from everywhere, from local estates. It doesn't only represent Asian community or Kashmiri community or Muslim community. It represents the whole community across. For example, last year we had Mike Duffy, Steve Walton's been working there. We had white disabled people who were sort of playing football in there. It brings communities together, and it's very close to my heart, and it has. I have worked for it. Yes.
You have just pinpointed that it was the liberals of getting involved in the KYP. That was the reason you resigned. And how did that affect? How did that come about?
They're not getting involved. They complained. They were discussing the management committee, and the management committee was pressurized by Councillor Zulfikar Ali and Councillor Sharif.
See, as for the audience here at JK TV on live, I'm a bit surprised. You were the director for 25 years, so you were one of those early pioneers who actually had the achievement at the KYP Center, which is one of the biggest Asian establishment in Rochdale, and which is getting stronger and stronger by the day. So I'm a bit surprised that councillors of the Liberals actually got involved or pressured behind the scene from what you're saying here live on this TV, that you feel that they were the downfall of you resigning.
Well, I wouldn't call it downfall. It's just that they are small and petty-minded, and management committee were willing to take a stand, because I was probably the most senior active director there. But because KYP is so close to my heart, and I said, well, if that is the case, and if it's affecting KYP, I will resign, which I did in the interest of KYP. But that is a very that is one example. The Liberals don't really have lateral policies. They have a street-to-street, person-to-person policy. For example, you look at Iraq war, which I am very, very against. I am against Iraq war. I am against what Jack Straw wrote in the papers. I am against anything that is attacking Muslims or increasing Islamophobia or what have you. I stand for that, absolutely, and I don't support that. It was an illegal war and what have you. Now, if you look nationally and locally, Liberal have really preyed on Muslim votes. Yeah, but what have they done? What is their track record? I have been to so many anti-war marches. I've been involved in anti-war coalition in Leeds from my work, been organizing and so on and so forth with socialist workers and what have you. Can my opponent honestly say that he has put one article in Observer, he's been to one march, it come election time, they pull out few really horrific photographs, put it on leaflets, and then fool you for 5 minutes? Like this is, and that is reflective of liberals across the
Well,
country. I mean, if you look at their policies, I mean, they are saying that church and this, like drugs should be legalized. Like the 14-year-old should be able to watch pornography and all the other, like issues. Uh, if purely speaking on, like what they pretend to be on Islamic sort of terms, the policies have to be seen in a context rather than isolated and what have you. And they're very good at negative campaigning.
you're standing up for Labour in Rochdale on the Central Ward, but you've come into politics. I know my researchers have told me that you've done a lot of charity work, a lot of through the KYP, but you're standing up for the Central Ward, which is a big minority ward for the Asians. Keeping in mind we've got the non-Muslims also living in that. Now you've come into politics at a very late age. You have been involved in politics, and my researchers have told me that, but you're standing up for this election for the first time. Okay, why should you make any difference?
Well, I think I've got the experience, and I've seen it. I've seen it go around few times, and then the reason a lot of people ask me why now. The reason is if you can't justify and if you can't give 100%. Well, the thing with me is if I take up a task, I give it my 100%. And my family was young. They needed me. They were at university, my children. My father had a stroke. I was caring for him. So obviously I could not justify, if I became a councillor, I could not justify my position. Now I am in a position where if I am successful, I'll probably go part-time, I will retire, and I want to be available to people who I represent. And I feel that people have a right to ring me anytime that they need me, and my phone shouldn't be off. I shouldn't be saying, I'll see you tomorrow, I am at work, and what have you. It's an accessibility issue. And I feel that our two other councillors, Ibrar and Farouk, have done surgeries every month. But the Liberals in Central have been in control for, say, about 10 to 12 years, and they haven't done even one surgery.
The Liberal person who's standing up, Mr. Zulfikar Ali Saab, for Central Wall, over the years you've helped that person. So the question for JK TV online viewers is, why stand against him? What are the policies which you've helped him to come forward but he's not delivered?
Well, around that time I was not affiliated to any party. Like 12 years. I've been member of Labour Party for, say, 7-8 years now. I wasn't member of any party. He's from my village. He asked me, and I said I'll help him. And I'd help him because before that we had, like I said, we've seen changes. And then the councillors then were quite comfortable, and they were proactive. And then same thing was repeated with the Liberals. They were not proactive. They'll go to few houses, no surgery. They don't live in the area. Some of them can't even speak English. And then I joined the Labour Party, and I've been in Labour Party since, and I've been quite active in the Labour Party. And Labour Party has given me an opportunity to stand and do some of the work that I feel that needs doing in the Central Ward and with our community and Muslim communities.
Now, from my researches, I have learned that Rochdale has a lot of education problems, a lot of drugs problems. There's a lot of issues there. Now, one thing I gotta ask you, Mr. Daalat Saab, is Zulfikar has been a councillor in Rochdale for about 2-3 terms. Okay, that gives him 12 years of experience against yourself. Although you've said that you've helped him over the years, but you are standing against him. Okay, what changes now? I'm going to give you a couple of questions here, sir, from our audiences. What change are you going to make to education which you feel he hasn't delivered?
You said Zulfikar's got experience. Well, he went to school all his life, and he hasn't got GCSE to his name. So can we say that if he hasn't learnt in school in 16 years, has he learnt anything in the council? In relation to education and drugs, you can't be taken in isolation. It's not only Rushdel's problem. It is a national problem, and there is a problem, and it is an inner area problem, and it has somehow multiplied and manifested in our communities. The Asian community, specifically Kashmiri, Pakistani, Bengali community, the education attainment level is low. The criminal justice system representation is very high. And for some reason, I don't know what, for some reason we are not doing as well as we ought to be, or as our other counterparts. But what we have done is, in Leeds, for the Muslim communities, we've set up a Muslim consortium of all, depending on all the mosques, training groups, and including education and other social services, police and other partners, where we've obtained about £2.5 million a year. We employ teachers to teach after school. But what I can promise you is I will try for the whole Rochdale, and if all the mosques sometimes, it fails, but I promise you that I will set that up in Central Ward for our children to have that extra support which is needed by them. Which I have discussed with Zulfikar and other Liberal councillors, and it's fell on deaf ears, and they just smile and walk off.
In Rochdale in the northwest area is one of the areas with a very high population of unemployed people. What kind of changes are you going to bring to the community regarding unemployment?
I've said education, and education breeds employment and prosperity and economics are education related. But I like to think, I think over the years, and I'm as guilty as anybody else, what we have done is we've elected irrelevant MPs. Out of last 36 years, we've seen 28 years of Liberal rule. Cyril, it was quite good, I know him and whatever. At people's engagement level, he was quite good, but centrally he has brought no money to Rochdale. Then we had Liz Lane, she's brought no money, and then we've got Paul Rowan, who's an irrelevant MP. It doesn't bring in any money. And then because, Rochdale can be compared with Huddersfield, Dewsbury, Bury, Oldham. If you look at the postcode, we are on Oldham's postcode. We are Oldham's satellite town. It's OL, it's not RO.
I don't suppose many other people living in Rochdale know about that.
Yeah. And it was Cyril who let us down. He never went for RO. He agreed with OL. And based on that OL, Pennine Trust, you look at all the businesses are going out, you look at all the hospital is gone, there is nobody to fight us, and it's not a council level. I can't do anything, Zulfikar can't do anything, you can wish for anything, but it's your MP who can represent you in Parliament if somebody listens to them. But because we've been electing irrelevant Liberal Democratic MPs,
is it fair to say, Mr. Daalat, at the moment, regarding from our chat, it seems to me that Liberal have not delivered?
But because the Rochdale MP has been a Liberal, it seems that way. That it is not. I want to make one thing clear. It's not that they deliberately haven't delivered MPs. They might have tried.
Would you say it's lack of experience from the councillors themselves?
No, it's not the councillors. I'm talking about MPs and bringing in money. It's not that they haven't tried. It's just that we, the constituents, we the voters, made wrong decisions in electing Liberal Democrat MPs. Nobody listens to them. It's an irrelevant party. There's very few. They don't make the difference. They can promise you anything, but they can't deliver anything.
Okay, from my research team, we've got a lot of stacks from different resources, which obviously, if data protection I won't mention, but Rochdale has got, and it's the way things are going in Rochdale, is becoming a big major problem in Rochdale, drug issues. What's your intake on that?
Well, obviously, all you have to do is pick up Observer. You look at police raids. You look at people convicted. You look at, there's been so many deaths in recent years close to us. I wouldn't mind I wouldn't want to name names.
Yeah.
But if you look around within our society, they've been depression, drug related. This is obviously there is a drug is a major issue, and the drug is a major issue, but a lot of people probably try to come up that there should be more police. Yes, there should be more policing. It's a deterrent, but there should be more education on the subject. Their parents should be educated. One should work with the youngsters. You look at Waterloo, you look at infirmary area, probably where you live. Where is the leisure facilities? Where do the youngsters go? It's all right saying youngsters are no good, but all right. But how are you supporting them? What are you doing for them? Where are the leisure facilities? Where are the after-school classes? Where are the like
So
scouts?
is it fair to say, Mr. Daalat, that the drug issue in Russia is big due to the fact that the kids have nothing to do? Is it boredom? Is it high employment?
No, it's not only
is
that.
it lack of education?
It's not only that. I mean, there's no ready-made solution. There are national debates, local debates, whatever you. But that is a factor. Lack of education, unemployment, know-how, leisure facilities, youth work. The parents probably want to help them. They might not be able to help. They're not empowered. They're not helped. So you have to take it in its own context, and there is a major drug problem which needs addressing, and then the solution is not only police raids. No, the solution is in education,
Okay.
in facilities, in putting real money into communities.
Okay, my direct question to you, Mr. Daalat Saab, is what kind of changes would you bring to Rochdale if you get selected this year?
Like I said again, I will set up that forum for education. I will work with parents, and then I will try. I will work at the policy level. We need to look at. I mean, we've got a predominantly liberal council now, and they have no policies. They have no policies. They just come up with. They live on false promises. I'll give you this road. I'll give you this light. Yes.
But isn't that one of the issues around the UK when it's time for the election? People start blaming and start promising that they're gonna deliver. Isn't that a common thing within all the parties in Rochdale?
Yes, but excuse me. Yes, but if you look at the Liberals, and for example, if you look at my campaign, negative campaign, right? I don't know if Zulfikar said it or not, but his supporters have gone to people and say, oh, and then they should be saying what Zulfikar has done in 12 years or 10 years. They would go in and say, oh, he doesn't believe in God. He doesn't come in mosque. He said this. He said this. Whether I believe in God, whether I don't, which I do believe in God, I go to mosque, I go to funerals, I go to where I work, I read my Jummah in Leeds University with the young Muslims, and I lead prayers sometimes. Yeah, people are ignorant. It is just that people are going in. So whether somebody reads namaz or not, how is it going to change their life? They should be. This is typical of liberals. They'll come to your street, infirmary area. They'll see what is needed, what people's opinion are, and they would say what you want to hear. They'll go to another area and say what they want to hear. They have no policies. And
Yep.
because the council has no policies, therefore, the problems are multiplying. You look at fly tipping, you look at bin collection,
I think
you
it's
look at cleanliness. Islam is about cleanliness. You look at cleanliness, there's no it's broken
yeah,
down.
but sir, as I can confirm that you are standing against liberals, people you used to help to run the campaigns. Now the question I got for yourself is, obviously these people are going to go around saying they're going to be big, talking about your background. With that in mind, what we're trying to establish here, from what you just said, is that they're going around telling people that you're not a Muslim, which I can agree with you, and I know the listeners here at JKTV can agree that, yeah, but what they should, it's not about whose religion or what your beliefs are, because in our community, we've also got non-Muslims who are going to be voting in this general election, the local election. It's about the policies which are going to be benefit to the community, which are going to bring the community together. Is that fair to say? Is that a comment fair to say?
Well, I think they're quite nasty people. quite nasty people, because I have helped them and I worked with them. I was fine then. I haven't changed. I'm no different. I used to go to mosque then. I go to mosque now. I used to write then. I write now. I used to write dramas, films then. I do it now. If I help them to today, I'm the best Muslim going. And then I wasn't talking about. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. People, I give people more credit. People are more educated. People know me. I've lived in the area. I wasn't complaining. What I'm saying is that the campaign should be about issues, real life issues. What is happening to us? There is Islamophobia. What is happening to us at grassroots level? What is happening to us economically? What is happening to our children? What is happening, employment, our older people's facilities, and then how can we elect proper MPs or proper sort of national politicians to put pressure on national government to change views about Islamophobia and how we can sort of influence policies in favor of Muslims, like in fairness, not special, in favor, in fairness and so on and so forth. But instead of that, what they seem to do is they'll have different policy in Stockport, they will have different policy in Rochdale, they work in isolation and they just prey on people's ignorance or people's emotions just to get elected for that term. And this is what I detest and this is what I'm against. And I think they should be open and transparent and, go out on policies and sort of work together. And I've always said to our labor councillors, I said, when it comes to our community, Asian community, or Muslims, or community cohesion, and so on and so forth, I have no hesitation, if a good idea comes from liberals and it goes in our community's favor, I'd go along with them.
There are some rumors circulating in Rochdale that this campaign this year, there's going to be a couple of programs on your local radio station. Are you and your team willing to sit on the radio station and question people like Zulfikar about the campaigns and what kind of thing they're going to deliver or what they've done in the last 12 years?
Well, one of the things is I already have been on one of the programs, two programs, the Radio Crescent. And I have...
Which is a Rochdale-based station where you can listen on 97.FM.
Yeah. I've been on two programs and I fully support that. I think any politicians, whether it's me, whether anybody else, nobody's really gone on and pushed me to stand. I want to stand. I want to serve the community, and I think I am. If I get elected, I will be employed by 8,000 people, and my employers, those 8,000 people, have got a right to ring me anytime, to question me anytime, and if I'm doing wrong, I'm a human being. I can make mistakes. It is up to them to pull me and say, "Mister, we don't like this. This is what we like," and I think we are answerable. Therefore, I think Councillor Farooq, Councillor Ibrar, Councillor Zulfikar, who represent the central ward, I think it's a good idea that they should go on radio. I don't mind, and I love media. I have worked in media. I write for media.
But
I write for media and what have you. I have no hesitation in going. But in terms of Zulfikar, have served 10 years. Ibrar have served 2 years, and I think for the last 2 years they can say what they've done and how they've served communities and what have you. In relation to me and Zulfikar going head to head, because he's been there, I haven't been there, so I think he's at a disadvantage in a sense that whoever goes in makes more mistakes. So I think it is only fair that them two should go on and say how they've represented people.
do you feel that instead of the politicians knocking people's doors and not saying fully what they've done or what they achieved, do you feel for the community of Rochdale it's a good thing that politicians should debate their issues on the radio and let those folk out there know, people who can't get to the elections or people who can't go actually out, that they should know what the like a one-to-one challenge on the radio?
Well, when we say open and transparent, that means all mediums, And yes, I certainly think they should go on radio, and I certainly think they should go on doorstep as well, meet people, and people, like what people think. People can tell them what they think about them. If they have served them, people will receive them. If they haven't, people will tell them. So all mediums are going towards open and transparency, and radio and TV is one of them.
Okay, one of the major issues in Rochdale, there's rumors going around. This is the first time I think all the people at JKTV or anywhere around are probably in the Northwest going to hear this. Me say that from our research team is we have done a lot of research. We have spoken to people in Rochdale area from different groups. There's these rumors going that this might be election which will not be decided on who's got the best policies, but they will be decided on whether you're caste, whether you're a Raja, whether you're a Mistri. Now there's these rumors. Now obviously people want to vote for the best person for the job, but there are these rumors circulating. Maybe one politician will win because he's got a bigger group of people from his village, the other one hasn't. What's your intake on that?
I think any migrant community, when they go into a new setting, they do bring different things into it, and I think that is one of the factors. But I think it's fading away. I think we've got to give people credit. For example, in the last election, I supported Ibrar. Ibrar is not from my caste, and I did get a lot of stick from the liberals who seem to be from the other castes and so on and so forth. I don't think you can win on the region basis. I don't think you can win on the caste basis. I think we are Muslims, we are Asians, we are Pakistanis, we are Bengalis, we are Kashmiris. Those are our identities, but I think we've got common problems. We live in a community, and I think we are a community here. And people who know me for 40 years, my father, our family, and the broader family, in our practice, in our talakat, like relationships, so on and so forth, it has never crossed our mind. And I work with every caste, every region, every sort of, like including Bengalis, including Pakistanis, and I intend to represent and go to every individual. And I don't really believe in castes. I don't believe in regions. I don't believe. We are here. We are British, Asians, and we've got common problems like I said, Islamophobia, like I said, others. So I think people who go on the caste basis, which is true, I've heard, and it hurts me. One or two liberals say, "Oh, he's supporting Rajas, and we're not going to vote him," and that sort of. But I take it with a pinch of salt. It doesn't hurt me. It does hurt me, but I don't bother because I must be doing something good. That's why I'm being criticized on this. So I have no hesitation. I think people should be open, transparent, and people should reject people who are discriminatory within our own communities, and then they should look at who can represent them, who can't represent them, who's more approachable, who's not approachable, who's got clothes sharp, and who greets them, and who will welcome them, and who will stand up and fight for their rights in the council chamber.
Mhm.